Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell here, of course. And we are pleased to be joined by Lorin Rainer, who is a driver spotter, who is also a driver manager and has been helping young drivers out for I don't know how long, but for a long time. Lorin, kind of tell everybody what you do for people that don't know who you are.
Well, it's a little complicated, but more than anything, I kind of assist young drivers and their parents on how to navigate the whole NASCAR world when they're, moving up from the lower levels to get to the higher levels. It's a pretty complicated system, and if you don't kind of know what you're doing, you can, you can make some decisions that'll not turn out too well for the driver. So I try to help that whole process of moving through the NASCAR levels and even the late model levels and all the way down to legends. I have drivers that run in legends all the way up. So just that whole system of coming through, how to do it, who to do it with, make sure they're at the right, they're racing at the right level with the right teams, just all those decisions that a lot of, kids and parents don't know how to make and don't really know what to do. I try to help them with that.
Right. There's been a lot of drivers that you've helped over the years. Of course, some of the drivers you're working with now, Sheldon Creed, Zane Smith, Sam Mayer, most recently. What's it been like I know the main project you've had is Sam. What's it been like working with him over several years? And of course, you had his father, Scott, knows this racing thing all along. Of course, he used to race in IMSA. But what has it been like working specifically with him?
Well, it's been good. Scott called me when Sam was still 11 years old in end of 2014. So this has been a long process that we've gone through with Sam to get him where he is. But they've been great, honestly. Oh man,
you're good.
Okay. It's just a really long process that we've went through, and when we started, he was still one of a junior go-kart driver, and then we moved him into legends, and we did the whole legends things. Then we did limited late models, then late models. We ran some super late models. Then we moved him into ARCA, and then where he is now is truck racing, and won a truck race and won all those ARCA races and championships, and then East, and now he's at Junior Motorsports. So it's been quite the process to go through with Sam.
Yeah. So I know that, you've been instrumental in with the Chevy program and stuff. I know you've worked with a lot of drivers that are currently in that. What has it been like to, put that together? Because it was just 2 years ago that this program with Chevrolet started between Junior Motorsports and GMS.
Yeah, it's been great to assist. Mike Beam actually called me in 2018, and we started talking about it. He asked for my help to help them create this program, and I appreciate their confidence in me to help them do this. So it's been great. I mean, it's grown from an idea into, last year Sheldon was the truck champion, and then obviously Zane was second in the truck points, and Sam won 2 championships last year, the East and the ARCA, the Sioux Chief Showdown Championship. So, I would say, a lot of wins. It's been really good. It's kind of still a work in progress, and all the key players within Chevrolet, and with Josh Wise being a part of it, and all the key players at GMS, Mike Beam, Keith Barnwell, and then all the players at Junior Motorsports. Everybody's worked together, and they've just tried to create this platform for these young drivers to be able to utilize and help them make that transition upward. And so far it's worked.
What's the biggest thing? Because I know you've worked with a lot of young drivers in the past. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest thing that families think that when they have their son or daughter that wants to go into racing, what's the biggest mistake that they possibly could make in the process?
Well, that's a loaded question because, all these kids and parents come from different areas, different types of racing. So, I always tell everybody that, you're on your own journey and your own path. So, obviously when it comes to having, talent and ability is one thing, and then funding and how you're going to, get through and get up is another. So all of that's got to come together with the right team, that fits for that particular driver where he is. And that's kind of where I think my expertise comes in, is helping these people make those moves. I think some of the issues is maybe, some of the parents get involved and they may not know what to do or how to do it, or, what level to do it. And that's where I think some mistakes are made, and then it's a big process because you've wasted time and you've wasted money to get, to make a bad decision. So those are the things I think that the parents struggle with the hardest. And then another thing that they struggle with is just, how expensive it is to race at the high levels of racing. It's a major financial commitment for a family, or, whomever's funding it. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So when you talk about funding and sponsorship, what's the average to say, like, for example, if a family wants to, if a driver wants to go ARCA racing, how much maybe possibly would it cost to, run a car for the full season or half a season or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't really want to get into those kind of specifics, but it's 7 figures. So it's a major commitment. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't really want to talk specific numbers, but it's a major financial commitment.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I just kind of wanted to get an understanding of how the business side of racing works. Like really with sponsorship, and how to, not the monies and dollars and cents, but how do drivers get sponsors and all that?
Mostly at the lower levels, it's really it's your family influence. So, whether it be family money or friends of family, it's really kind of your circle of influence is really kind of how the lower levels are done. Then once you get to the higher levels, it's a little bit different deal. Then, it's more, the teams take on more of a role of trying to help fund the car and that type of thing. So, but it's a constant struggle to get these things funded.
So I know you've been working with a lot of drivers, of course, Sheldon, and of course, Sam. What other drivers who you're currently working with that maybe we need to keep an eye on? Because if there's one person that knows how to find talent, it's you.
Well, I'm working with Connor Mozak, who just ran with Junior Motorsports last year, and he ran at Speed Weeks for Chris Wimmer. He's up and coming. We've got him running a lot of road racing stuff this year. He'll run some super late model stuff, some ARCA stuff, and then hopefully by 2022 be able to transition into a truck. Then I've got Will Cox. He actually took over the ride at Junior Motorsports, the late model ride, and he's going to probably do a lot of pro late model racing along with this, some Trans Am racing. And then hopefully he transitions up into ARCA next year. Then I've got a lot of good young drivers that are like in late models and legends and all that kind of stuff. So right now I'd kind of keep on those, an eye on those two that are coming up. They're kind of in line to make the next big step.
Lorin, what's the biggest advice that you give to young drivers as they're trying to make their way into the top levels of racing?
Again, it goes more, it's not like one piece of advice. What I do is evaluate the situation that I'm working with. That's the biggest thing. So you're always in this balance of talent and funding. So that's the thing you're always trying to find the balance with. And that's what I deal with most of the time is that. And so there's not really one thing. I mean, other than the business of racing is expensive. That's the only thing that I would say. The people that want to go this direction, is it's a big commitment get started and to get going. And so, you want to make sure your kid is, very talented and extremely really good at what they do before you make this huge financial commitment.
Right. And I know you've also been a spotter as well. Of course, you worked with
Mhm.
Jamie McMurray for years and years.
I did.
You did spot with him for the 500, did you?
No, not this year. I actually spotted for Austin Cindric this year in the 500, and I'm only doing a handful of Cup races this year for him. And it was just so they asked me to do it. They needed an experienced guy, and they asked me to do it. And I really kind of, easing away from spotting. I quit full-time spotting in 2015, so it's been a long time since I've been a full-time Cup spotter.
Right. I know you've also spotted for Sam as well.
Mhm.
What's the hardest? I know the hardest tracks to spot, of course, are, with Indianapolis, the road courses, and of
Mhm.
course Daytona and Talladega as well.
Mhm.
What's the hardest track to spot, you think?
The speedways are tough. They are because you're just constantly talking all the time, and it kind of never ends. So Daytona and Talladega are really the hardest ones to spot. Beyond that, I don't really have any issue. I mean, again, Indy is tough because you're, like this year, they had spotters outside the racetrack, turns 1 and turn 3. Normally, you're on the pagoda and you have one guy does the front, one guy does the back. So it's kind of hard to see. The road courses are tough because you're only doing a part of the course. So spotting's always become pretty easy to me. So I don't even really honestly think twice about it. It's so natural to watch it and talk about it because it's all I've ever done my entire life. So it just came really, really easy to me. So I don't really have an issue with any of it really. And then I did a lot of races for Sam. We used Derek Nealon on the companion races, and he does a phenomenal job. And then when we had these non-companion races, all these short tracks, and I would end up spotting those races for Sam. And it worked out. We won a bunch.
Yeah.
We won a lot with Derek and won a lot with me. So it worked out really well.
Yeah. All right. Lorin Rainer, thank you for spending a few minutes talking with us, and always welcome on the podcast anytime. Congratulations
Casey.
on all your successes.
You bet. Thanks. Anytime, man.